Hello, everybody, from this quarter here in Florida to Wisconsin and the rest of the world. Wisconsin is known as America's Dairyland and also the world's Dairyland as well. And also, Wisconsin has given the world many country artists. Yes, many don't want to admit it, but Wisconsin has given many country artists, and one of them is Pat Waters and the Pat Waters Band. For me, it's a pleasure having you here, Pat Waters.
Man, it's a pleasure for me too, Roberto. Appreciate it.
For me, it's a pleasure and an honor. I'm going to be asking you some of the questions. The reason why we have you here is that you are symbolic of Wisconsin.
Well, that means a lot. Thank you.
Which means I'm gonna take 4 questions and I'm gonna place it into one.
Sounds good.
Tell me how you got started. What are you doing in the present? What do you see in the future? And what sets Wisconsin country music apart from the rest of the Midwest and national? And of course, what was the inspiration behind the Wisconsin 12 Days of Christmas?
That is a lot of questions. Lucky for you, I'm a big talker, so you might have to stop me at some point. But
don't worry.
I got started as a 10-year-old boy. I learned to play guitar. Started taking lessons at 10 years old. Didn't really, thought I wanted to be Eddie Van Halen at that time because I had older brothers who were into that. And it wasn't until about 12 years old when a friend brought over a videotape called This Is Garth Brooks that he taped off of NBC. And I saw Garth doing these, amazing theatrics on TV, but also doing deep, heartfelt songs, the stuff that I've come to love about country music. And I was like, that's what I'm supposed to do. That's it. So I've spent the rest of my life, I'm 43 today, so the last 33 years just trying to become Garth Brooks. I'm not there yet, and that's okay, because they say shoot for the moon and end up among the stars, right? So that's the beginning for me. Now, a lot of through high school and everything, played a lot of bars, solo by myself with my guitar through the years. In my little corner of Wisconsin, where I live, where I grew up. I live in Sparta, Wisconsin, so near La Crosse, near the Mississippi River, about 30 minutes away. And played a lot of bars. Moved to Eau Claire, Wisconsin, to go to college, and started a band, a 3-piece band back here in my home area while I was gone, called Firewater. We weren't that great, but we were a lot of fun. So people came out to see us. 20, 21, 22 years old. You have a good time. So we built up a little following. I did that for 3.5 years. My then girlfriend, now wife at the time, decided she was going to go to optometry school in St. Louis, Missouri. So we actually packed up everything we had and moved to St. Louis after college. Got married while we lived down there. I played a bunch of solo shows down there and really really learned how to be a front man, because when it's just you and your guitar in a bar full of drunk people and most of them don't know who you are, you got to figure it out pretty quick, figure out how to entertain and figure out how to handle hecklers and all that stuff. So I figure over that 3.5-year span, I probably did 85 shows in the bar that I was playing at down there, 85 4 to 5 hour shows. Recorded a record while I was there, moved back to Wisconsin in the spring of 2007 and released that album in February. Started gathering members of the PWB because I had this vision for what I wanted to do when I came back to Wisconsin. I wanted to make the words Wisconsin country music mean something. This is a very prideful state. People who are from Wisconsin are proud to be from Wisconsin. It's an identity that we all embrace. And I thought, I was inspired by Texas. I liked guys like Pat Green and the previous guys who made a name for themselves, Robert Earl Keen in Texas. And I saw what they did in that market to create an identity for Texas music and to create something that felt like something that they owned in that state and that their fans could grab onto and say, this is ours. I knew I didn't want to do the Nashville thing. This was 2007, but Nashville had already kind of left traditionalists like me behind at the time. We're seeing that come back a little bit now, but at the time, I didn't see a place for me among, Rascal Flatts and Keith Urban, not to take anything away from those guys. It just wasn't my type of music.
Yeah, of course.
Plus, I knew I wanted to have a family. And I thought, move back to Wisconsin, try to create a scene there, and it's the best of both worlds. You can raise your kids, you can, be a husband who's home at night, and you can also play music. So that's what I did, and we put together the PWB, and that first album came out and started getting radio play up here in early 2008. The PWB started playing together early 2008. We didn't have a name right away, but once the song started getting traction under my name, I said to the guys, hey, why don't we just leverage what we've already got? And my name is working, so let's become the Pat Waters Band. Fast forward 16 years, and that's how you get to where we are today. 3 out of 5 of us are founding members. My sound person is my guitar player's wife. They were dating at the time, and she learned to run sound because she was at our practices. She was really involved. She was helping us with things, and we said, we got to teach you how to run a board, So she, on her own, kind of went and learned how to run a board. She's been with us since the beginning. My drummer's been with us 15 of those 16 years, and our bass player has been with us for 8. So we are a tight knit, almost like a second family in a way. And to that point, I think part of our survival has been that I don't overbook us. So I don't see these guys 3 times every weekend. They aren't the reason I'm away from my family when we go, play shows and stuff like that. So when I see them, it's still fun. They're still friends. We get to catch up. They're not, that same guy that I had to spend all last weekend with. So, so that answers 2 of your questions, I think. I can't, you'll have to remind me with the other 2.
I'm going to remind you, but before I remind you, you were saying you wanted to be like Garth Brooks.
Yeah.
You're a lot better than Garth Brooks, not taking away from him nor taking away from Nashville. Nashville has their identity and everything, but you have placed Wisconsin in the map.
Oh, thanks, man. I appreciate that.
And many people have followed you others. The next questions that I wanted to bring up was, how do you see the future of the PWB, which is one? What sets Wisconsin country music? You talked about an identity. What sets Wisconsin country music apart from all the other country music in the Midwest?
Yeah.
And also what it sets it apart from Nashville. And then, of course, since we're going to be into the Christmas season, not now, but in about 6 months from now.
I know what you mean.
The next question was, what was the inspiration behind Wisconsin's 12 Days of Christmas? I even see the video in springtime and in the summer.
Well, we'll start with the Wisconsin country music question. So, first of all, as you know, you've talked with a lot of fellow members of mine of the Midwest Country Music Organization. And at the time we put this thing together, I'm 27 years old. That didn't exist. There wasn't any sort of collective of artists in this area. In fact, it was more competitive than it was collective. So taking zooming out a little bit and talking about Midwest country music, I am so proud that exists today and that we are members of that, because when I talk about the Texas scene, this Wisconsin is not as big as Texas, Minnesota's not as big as Texas, Iowa's not. But when you put all these states in the Dakotas and Michigan and Illinois together, we are, so collectively we're stronger when we're working together than we are when we're working against each other. I didn't get into music to compete. That's what sports are for. I got into music to collaborate, to make art, to touch people's hearts, and to try to create something that will live on long after I'm gone. So that's why I do what I do. Wisconsin country music, I think, to be honest with you, I never thought Midwest country music could be a thing. I didn't think we could get this collective as we are. So we built our brand on Wisconsin country music. And my whole idea for that, people don't think of Wisconsin right away when they think of country music. But Dave Dudley, 6 Days on the Road, he's a Wisconsin guy from up by Spencer, Wisconsin. Josh Thompson, Beer on the Table, Sinners Like Me was Eric Church. He had another something about Sinners, and I can't remember it. Anyways, he had a bunch of great songs. Josh Thompson, fantastic artist. Joe Diffie lived here for a while. And the other side of it is the notion that you have to be from the South to understand a country lifestyle is about as ridiculous as I could ever think of, because I have a different accent than somebody from Tennessee. That's fine. I don't think it comes out when I sing, and people sometimes challenge me on that and go, well, you say you're from Wisconsin. How come you sound like you're from Georgia. And I say, because everybody I learned to sing from was on the radio in the 90s was from Georgia. That's how I learned, Georgia, Texas, Tennessee. So I learned to sing with I guess you would call it a Southern accent, because that's how my heroes sang. And frankly, trying to sing country music with a Midwestern accent sounds a little strange. So, but what I believe I think there's an authenticity that we're trying to create here and an identity that we're trying to create. I feel like, not to disparage Nashville, it is what it is. It's not for me anymore. It's become very corporate, very stale. The music is kind of formulaic. Now, that's not everybody. We're seeing great stuff come out of there. Cody Johnson's doing great stuff. Luke Combs, John Party. There's great music coming out of there. But it has become so corporate, and it has become such a business. And it's more successful today than it ever has been. But I feel like, you know how girls in middle school, like a 7th grade girl, will do anything in the world to be popular. She'll do anything. She'll compromise her entire identity to make other people think she's cool. That's what country music did, in my opinion. The industry has compromised its identity, and I call it the watered down whiskey theory. Okay. You can add enough water to a bottle of whiskey that anyone can drink it, but who's going to love it?
Of course.
There are people who love whiskey as it is, people who love country music because it twangs, because it's authentic, because it's from the heart. You can water that down enough to create a big audience for it and have 20-year-olds in a hayfield, 50,000 20-year-olds in a hayfield having a good time. That's fine. You can do that, and everybody's going to embrace it. But nothing coming out today feels as timeless to me as a George Strait song, as an Alan Jackson song, a Brooks and Dunn song, a Johnny Cash song. Those songs have life that lives on. We go out, if we cover a 90s song in our shows, man, people go crazy for it, So that's, to me, there's an authenticity that we're trying to breed up here. And like I said, I don't want to ever stand at the top of the mountain like, well, there, I did it. We made it. We did what I wanted to do. I'm still hustling. I want to take it bigger and better in terms of an identity for Wisconsin country music. So to me, the future of the PWB is leaning in even more on our original music. We have enjoyed a great 16 years of playing bar shows for 4 hours, mixing covers with originals, of getting the opportunity to open for, the list of 90s acts that I grew up loving that I've gotten to open for blows my mind. I am so grateful and thankful for doing that. And a lot of times we could play more original music in those types of settings. Where I'm at this point, and we, festivals and everything like that through the years, where I'm at this point is I'm starting to think about what haven't we done? What mountains haven't we climbed that I want to climb before this is over with, whenever it's over with. I don't have a timetable for it stopping at this day. But I feel like we've done what we're doing right now for a while. It's been awesome, but it's taking more and more to get me off the couch when I'm there with my kids and spending time with my family. So to me, I see us leaning in heavily in the near future on original stuff, on doing risky stuff, maybe that doesn't financially pay off as well, but that pays off in the heart, in going out and saying, hey, we believe in this music. We're touring on this music. We're going to do shows in, small theaters and places like that on this music. However many people come, that's how many people come, and we're going to give them a show. That's to me where we're going, is leaning in on the original stuff we've created that people have embraced and have been so sweet to us with, but also leaning in on new original music, leaning in on our own identity even more. And I would say we have probably more than the average Midwest band. I think we're seen a lot more as an original act, maybe, than a lot of Midwest artists, because we've put out, 3 records with original music on it. We play original music in every show. Every show is at least a quarter original. But I want that to become the rule and not the exception. I want the original stuff to become who we are, and we might surprise you with a cover,
Great. No, but you did some great covers, like the one I just heard was from Merle Haggard.
Oh yeah. Working Man's Blues, probably.
But what I have seen in your videos is that your originals shine much more than the covers. They shine more than
thank
the
you.
covers. Oh, in the Midwest country music, sorry to add something. You forgot.
That's okay.
You forgot Indiana and Ohio.
Indiana and Ohio. I'm not sure we've got Indiana and Ohio in the group yet, but I think that's a goal.
I know, but since you talked about the Midwest, you talked about that. But regardless, your videos and your music have already placed Wisconsin on the map. And
that means a lot to hear that.
We can't have Wisconsin without having Pat Waters, and we've had other artists. You already proved to Nashville and the world that country music isn't only from Nashville, it's from Wisconsin.
Well, I appreciate that, man. And sometimes
That American music is not from California or New York, Wisconsin. You are
That's
really
right.
shining. Which
Thank you,
also
man.
led to the 12 Days of Christmas of Wisconsin.
Yes.
Because I have not, that's the video that I have been seeing many times because I love Christmas.
Yeah.
But I have never seen the 12 Days of Christmas be performed like the Wisconsin 12 Days of Christmas. I've heard the Cleveland Browns 12 Days of Christmas. I've heard the Miami Dolphins 12 Days of Christmas.
Yeah.
I think those are the only ones I can remember right now. And by 62 years of existence.
Well, we regionalized the heck out of it. I tell you what, that was a very fun project because I had the idea. That's where my contribution starts and maybe stops, depending on when I tell you this story. I had the idea and I brought it to the band and I said, wouldn't it be cool if this Christmas season leading up to Christmas, we have everybody try to help us rewrite the 12 Days of Christmas, our fan base on social media. Let's have them help us rewrite it, a Wisconsin version of the 12 Days of Christmas. So that's what we did. We started, 12 days out. We said, okay, we want submissions, guest submissions. Remember, this is what the original 12th day of Christmas was. 12, I don't even know what it is. I'm not even sure what the real one is, right? I know what ours is, but so we reached out to them and said, hey, it's gotta, we're gonna pick a winner. If you win, we're gonna give you some PWB merch and we're gonna put your line into the song. We'll pick our favorite one every day. So, the first one was 12 Old Fashions. I think we started at the back end, 12 Old Fashions. Well, Brandy Old Fashioned Sweet is a very popular drink in this part of the country, in Wisconsin. So how could you start any better than that, And then I think we had 11 cows a tipping, 10 Packer tickets, 9 drinks too many, all of this very regional. And so we just picked a winner every day. And my goal then, Roberto, was at the end of this on Christmas Eve. Now, keep in mind, at this time I have a 1 or a 2-year-old. My first son is 1 or 2 years old. And my whole idea was on Christmas Eve now, when we get this all distilled down, I'm going to record an acoustic version of this new song we've written together, and we're going to put it out on the internet, right? I'm going to go in my basement and record an acoustic version. Well, we had a narrow window of time, my wife and I did, between one Christmas party and another Christmas party, and my son was napping, a 2-hour window of time. I think it took me 46 takes to get the complete song. And then you start putting pressure on yourself because I'm like, I only got 2 hours. I told people I was going to do this today. I go, yeah, so we kind of wrote it, but we wrote it the way Nashville writes songs. We put 15 people in a room and we called it a songwriting session, right? So wisdom of the crowds. We brought our fans into it. So it's a very cool interactive thing we got to do with them. That video, I took that and I put it on Facebook and left for a Christmas party. That thing blew up in the next week's time. From Christmas Eve to 6 days later, we probably had over 100,000 views on it. I'd never had that kind of traction on the internet. So I was like, this is something special. People appreciate this. So we decided then to go into the studio and record a full band version of it, where we got everybody involved playing instruments and things like that. We recorded that version in the studio, way fewer takes. That didn't take 48 times in the studio, because, everybody's a better player than I am. So we had that going for us. But we record that version, and then I got the idea for the video. The video, I'll take credit for that one. I came up with how we were going to approach that. But, I reached out to, once again, we reached out to fans, and I said, and sometimes I reached out to someone in particular. So the deer hunter you see in that video that appears throughout the video from the first day to the 12th day, that's my older brother, Dave. Basically, from the week before Thanksgiving till the week after Christmas, my brother Dave is in a tree stand the entire time, that entire month and a half. So I said, Dave, while you're in the stand, I want you to be the deer hunter that does the deer stand up in a tree. So I had him cut, 15, 16 videos for me. I picked my favorites. There's kids with cheese curds in there. Those are my 2 boys, my oldest and my youngest. They're quite a bit younger there. We had help from radio guys that were good friends of ours. Arnie and Ben from the ACM and CMA nominated Count 97 morning show based here in Western Wisconsin. Good friends of ours. And I said, hey guys, would you help me out with the spotted cows? So they did that. So we had all these people. You know, I have a cousin of mine, a second cousin, who is in the in the World Concertina Hall of Fame. He's an amazing concertina player. I come from a long line of polka players. So when we got to the polka part, I reached out to Gary. Hey, Gary, would you? And everybody to a T who I asked to help said yes. And we ended up with something that is, to me, just the most fun and the funniest thing. And I'll tell you, I got to play that song before we had the video out. I was asked to go play Count 97 once again, asked me to play a songwriters round. Like there was a fundraiser for St. Jude. So it was me and it was two Nashville songwriters. One of them was Dave. God, I'm going to forget Dave's name. I can't remember Dave's name. Great guy, though. And CJ Solar was the other one. I'm not sure if you're familiar with CJ, but CJ wrote a song, a big #1 hit song called Up Down for Morgan Wallen, one of Morgan Wallen's first songs. So we're planning out how we're going to do this songwriters round, 15 minutes before we start. I didn't really know exactly which songs I was going to do, and it was in December. And so Dave says, "Yeah, I'll go first." Dave McElroy, that's his name. I'll go first. So he was going to go on first. Then CJ looked at me. He said, "Well," he said, "I'll play last because I got that hit song, so it's nobody usually wants to follow that." And I said, "You're absolutely right. I don't want to follow you singing the song you wrote for Morgan Wallen because I don't have anything that's that well known." Right. So Dave, so the way a songwriters round works, if your viewers aren't familiar, basically each artist takes turns and then they talk in between and they banter and they have a good time and they laugh, So I don't remember what the first 3 or 4 songs I did were, but I knew what I was going to do last at that point, and I was going to do Wisconsin's 12 Days of Christmas. I hadn't performed it out live at all prior to that. So I kind of tell everybody, hey, this is what we're going to do. And I teach them to do the 5 ice fishing jigs part. I get the crowd fired up about that. And so then we start the song and the room is in stitches, Roberto. They're just in stitches. They're laughing, they're singing along, they're doing the whole thing. I've got the performers on stage laughing with me. They're singing along. So we get to the last one, and a deer stand for up in a tree. Boom, boom.
I died laughing with it.
And I leaned over. I leaned over to CJ Solar off mic and I said, "Top that with your hit song."
No,
and he had a good laugh.
You really did it great with the 12 Days of Christmas.
Thank you, man.
I put on the same level, like with the Cleveland Browns Christmas, 1980.
Fantastic. Well, we have the same number of Super Bowls, I think, me and the Cleveland Browns.
Yeah, 1980 is the Cleveland Browns. I was there.
There you go.
In Cleveland,
nice.
when they were talking about a Rutigliano Super Bowl team that even did the 12 Days of Christmas. Miami Dolphins, when they were in the Miami Dolphins during the Dan Marino years.
Oh, yeah.
Miami. They even had a 12 Days of Christmas with the Miami Dolphins.
Fantastic. Well, I'm a Packers fan. They haven't cut one to my knowledge, but we included them in ours.
So when I heard the Wisconsin 12 Days of Christmas, I said, "Wow, this is really
awesome.
great." It also shows the video in itself shows the beauty of Wisconsin.
Yeah, a lot of culture in there. That was the plan.
In addition to the beauty of Wisconsin and some of the things that are typical of your state, you also embodied the soul of Wisconsin with with your version of the 12 Days of Christmas. I loved it.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it.
I loved it. Just like I loved all of your other songs.
That means a lot to me, man. Thank you.
So, and I just wanted to wish you the best. You deserve the best.
Thank you. Same to you, man. I love that you're doing this.
I'm seeing Wisconsin country music growing, and I'm seeing a lot of talent. And you are at the forefront. Oh. I'm not joking. You are at the forefront.
We're just happy to be a part of it.
Came before you, but you broke the mold. That's why I was very persistent in interviewing you. In fact, I thought maybe I'm like the mosquito inside the room or whatever. But
no, I tell you what, man, I'm just busy.
When you have talent, and when you have a state like Wisconsin that is showing that talent, we need that talent to be seen around the world and around America. Man.
I appreciate it. I appreciate everything you're doing to help make that happen. Thank you.
Before I leave, I'm gonna be saying goodbye separately. But
sure.
But before I leave, I'm also inviting every other member of the Midwest Country Music Organization. Come one, come all. Like you said, I've interviewed plenty. I've interviewed Sarah Morris. I've interviewed the International Treasures. I've
Now,
interviewed,
Sarah is my favorite songwriter from the Midwest. I've got two, her and Jay Mathis. She's amazing.
I've interviewed Katie Tessman. She was my first Zoom interview.
Fantastic.
My first Zoom interview. Katie said, Roberto, you and I are Midwesterners. You could do your first Zoom interview.
That's awesome.
And I did it. And everyone else, come one, come all, Minnesota, Wisconsin, Iowa, the Dakotas, the more the merrier, because your music needs to get out there in the world.
Absolutely. This has been a pleasure, man. I appreciate everything you're doing to help.
For me, it's a pleasure and an honor. I do want to wish your great state the best. And if you ever come to Florida, please let me know so I can see you in concert.
Fantastic. We will let you know.
I'm going to see if I could try to make a trip to Wisconsin in the future.
Yeah, we're heading into cold season here the next couple months, so maybe save it for next summer.
I know. I've heard about the cold in Wisconsin. I knew some other people in Wisconsin that told me about it.
Now, if you're from Ohio originally, though, you felt it.
I was originally from Ohio.
You know what it's like.
I know what it's like. I froze a lot in Lake Erie.
Yeah, lake effect snow. You know what that is. Yeah.
So what I want to do is I want to wish you and the PWB band the best. I also want to wish the state of Wisconsin the best. Keep making that music and keep making the music that is down to earth. Not that I'm knocking not that I'm knocking anyone else, because everyone else has the reason to do their music. But you are doing the original music. You're bringing country music back to life, and it's coming from Wisconsin, and it cannot be ignored.
God bless you, man. Thank you.
Without much, I want to wish you, and also want to wish my public, the people who watch us, please buy PWB albums. Go to the website. Go listen to them on all of the digital websites, YouTube, Spotify, the whole bit, and buy their CDs. For me and the Americana Bistro Grill, visit me on YouTube. Also, visit me on Rumble and all the other websites like BitChute, Right, Gap, which I use because I have to expand as well. And also,
Amen.
I'm available on Zelle because we have to keep our program running so that we could keep helping country music revive and all the other music revive here in America. Again, from Florida to the rest of the world, Roberto Alvarez-Galloso from the Americana Bistro Grill with a all-American clothing company t-shirt, blue jeans and shoes made in Ohio. And of course, a Leadfoot Larry cap. Who knows, we'll be putting PWB caps in the future. Peace in, peace out, and peace everywhere. Until the next time.